This is for James W., who says we are always late. We are 30 seconds early today, according to the clock on the Googles. Good
I
morning.
think James, I think James W's a liar anyway, because we're not late.
Well, most of the time it says it's time to go, and the clock's counting the other way. So James W., take that this morning.
Yeah, I won't do it. It's first 30 seconds.
Um, I almost walked out to the van or the truck to get a pair of sunglasses because Steve stood up to get something. And I'm like, is that the Grand Canyon or some big crack on my screen?
That was not even true.
Hey, Franklin, you telling me that
My,
was a big crack? Even you saw it.
my pants were firmly pulled up.
Damn it. Frankenweenie, you're all wet, boy. You're all wet, Frankenweenie. You're all wet, Frankenweenie. Can you say hello to the peoples? Hello. Ah, okay. You go play. You're all freaking wet. Ugh. Your feet are furry and you've been walking in wet grass. You've been walking in wet grass. Your feet are all furry. All right. So hope everyone's had a fine week. Man,
Fine, fine.
in case y'all missed it, I really I gave out some wonderful advice Sunday night, and I hope you put it to good use.
I listened to every minute of that show, and I took it all to heart.
Outstanding. So it's really some great life lessons there. So, um, yeah, well, you didn't see it.
Best show ever.
Some people would tell you that was the best show ever. um, I was actually behind and trying to get ready for the auction, so I did not have time. I apologize. Uh, so focusing on positive and that kind of stuff, I was positively trying to get ready for the auction. So that
Sometimes that sort of thing is more important than doing a show. You know,
I needed my truck and trailer back because they were full of stuff. Um, so I woke up this morning at 6. I'm like, man, I wanted to get up at 6 and go make the show and thumbnails and that stuff. I'm like, all right, maybe 20 minutes. I don't have an alarm clock. So I don't use an alarm clock. So I'm like, surely the dogs won't let me sleep because you get past 6:30, those fools just go absolute ape over getting fed. They are only on a system, and they know by 6:30 they should have. Um, the, Franklin wakes up everybody. He'll wake up the other two dogs. He'll pounce on you, pounce on you. Well, evidently he must have woke Johnny up, and Johnny fed them, and that was the problem I had because I looked at the clock and it was 7:15. I'm like, ooh, 7:15. Uh, so I need to grab one of those splash showers. You jump in the water and jump out of the water, and then make the show. The one thing I came up with for today, just to talk about today, we'll answer anybody's questions. If you're new, hey, welcome to the channel. Feel free to uh, ignore mine and Steve's humor. We are harmless. Ask any questions you like. Sometimes just back. Are you doing the basis anymore as a show today? Sometimes asking a basic question kind of give some direction. Everybody can learn from the more you talk about things that you should be doing on a daily basis. It reinforces your knowledge. So I've got a list of things to talk about getting back to the basics and why you should get back to the basics. Um, and why it's so important.
I can't get over the fact that you said we have humor.
We do have humor sometimes. Well, I put up there that he even lost his nipple, but I see you're living life without a nipple. So he stabbed himself in his ear with one of his headphones, and he goes, "Ow!" Well, not there.
No,
And he pulls it out, looks at it, and goes, "Well, I lost a nipple." I'm like, "Well, I've never heard it called a nipple before, but."
and to update you on the sticky D situation, I removed the D, I cleaned it, and fixed the little soft, fleshy part underneath it, and then put it back in, and it works better now.
You could have found a better way to describe that, unless you just did that on purpose.
No, I couldn't have. That was the perfect way to describe my sticky D. My sticky D is no longer sticky. However, my A has now collapsed. So
Is it because someone stuck a sticky D in your A?
no,
There.
it's old.
So much to unpack there. It's just terrible.
See, the A just is pressed. You can't see it. See how
Yeah,
low the A is?
yeah.
Apparently, I use that side of the keyboard more, and so all the little rubber nipples underneath I don't know what you call them, the rubber pieces underneath they're all like split. They're broken.
They sell a rebuild kit for those things, or
Yeah.
yeah. So there's all of that, and so I'm sitting here thinking, what's the most exciting thing that's happened to me this week, business wise, not personally, because that could be a rabbit hole we don't want to go down. And I'm like, my best day of sales was yesterday. Was a Monday, or two. It was just a Tuesday. Yesterday was Tuesday. It was a Tuesday. You're like, Beard, how and on a random Tuesday is that your best day? Well, I sat here before I did anything, and I'm like, I can't remember last time I set the repricer up, and I had 300 items that were not being repriced. And if you're not familiar with Amazon,
Nice.
you could be out of the buy box by 10 cents and not be making any sales. And so, most people are fearful of a repricer because they think if you put a sales range, if I want to sell it anywhere from $15 to $25, you're just going to sell everything at 15, and that could be no farther from the truth. You're on average, if you've got a good repricer, Aura is the one I use. If you want a discount, there it is. I should have had that going. You can use code Beardy Picker on Aura, and it does not. So some of the cheap ones, you get what you pay for. They run you straight to the bottom for the most part. But I have found that after years of using Aura, in the 15 to 25, you're going to sell as many as you sell for 15. You will sell for 25. It averages. There's a rolling average of where you want to be. And so at 15 to 25, and you're wanting to be in the 20 range, you do very well, because as it fights for price and buy box, you'll get some that's a little more, you'll get some that's a little less. And I use the 15 as exaggerated. Sometimes you'll get more 1880s or 2130s. You'll get prices that are around the center. And so, setting up. So one of the basics for an Amazon seller is once you get to a certain number of items, which is it's not a high number, you need to you really need to invest in a repricer. Aura is going to reprice every minute of every day and scan prices all the time. If you did, Beard, I don't need that. I'm superhuman. I'm going to reprice my items, at 3, 6, 9, and 12 every quarter, every 3 or 4 hours. You're losing opportunity in the buy box. So so Jarvis says he sold an item for $24.99 and $49.99 in the same day. And that's there are different strategies you can use where if you're at the bottom, and if it goes below your price, it go to maximum, which I do use that one. So it keeps you from staying down at the bottom. If you're out, there's another one that if you're out of stock, it'll go to your maximum so that you don't come back in and go, say I'm selling, I don't know, say I'm selling some Punky Killer Pingle Blue hairspray, and maybe I should have a Blueberry tonight at the concert.
That would be cool.
And I run out of this, and then look, next week I find 10 more, or whatever the number is. You don't send them in because you forgot because I'm only gonna do reprice on Monday, and you send it in and it shows up, it doesn't go, the buy box was $10, and now it's $3, and you don't sell them. Are we just going to talk reselling? No, we're not going to talk. Man, we started out with nipples and moons. What the hell? We
And
had a question.
sticky D's and collapsed A's.
Um, so,
Ow, hot
Bob
coffee.
wants to know, since he continues to get advertising for Squatch soap, have you ever used it?
I don't use soap.
So there
That
you have.
has Squatch on it. That has Squatch on it. No, I don't use it. I've seen the ads though.
So that, you know, I've used Amazon's repricer, and it's actually pretty simple and effective. It just doesn't have the bells and whistles, the dilution picker. It doesn't. There are different strategies you can use with these other repricers. That the nice thing about Aura is it'll pull in prices from 2 or 3 different inventory systems. Inventory Lab being the biggest one, and you can set up um, automatic. I want to make 30% on every item. It'll take the cost of the item and put you in a price range and reprice it with you without you having to do anything. There are so that's the biggest advantage of is you have much more flexibility, and you can have different.
I've used 3 different repricers. One of them was Amazon's. One was Be Cool. I can't remember what the other one was. But I loved Be Cool, so that was mine. But Amazon is effective. It just doesn't. It can't compete with, say, Aura, for example. There's just no competition there.
It's got the ability to eliminate, only compete against these customers. Ignore Amazon, or if Amazon's in the buy box, you can change the price. It's got things that it'll do that the regular Amazon repricer won't do.
Like, as far as I know, you cannot set Amazon's repricer in bulk. But
No.
it's been a while since I used it. What it's great for is people with smaller amounts of inventory who don't have the funds to go. I don't know what Aura is nowadays, but it's not as cheap as obviously the free version. And if you can't afford something like Aura, then go up to Be Cool for a while. Eventually, you're going to want to get to an Aura style because none of them can compete with that.
So
They
Bob,
can. They can. Don't get me wrong. They're effective. They're just not as effective as something like an Aura.
so Bob asked, Scott, have you and Harlan ever fought over an item at a garage sale or got pissed? But see, it's all about a mindset, and not everybody has this mindset. And because the one thing I would tell you is the answer is no. When I don't care enough at yard sales to. The thing I care about is one of us finds it. You know, he bought way more than I did this weekend, and we both bought some cool stuff. And it's just so here's a good example. We were at one of the last yard sales of the day, and the person had a slicer. It was a foldable. It was a super handy slicer, is what it was called. It was still in this box. And Harlan asked him how much, and the lady goes, "That thing's never been out of the box. I have to get $10 for it." So Harlan paid. I'm like, "Are you out, man?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm $10. I'm out." And so I bought it, and I've already sold it on Amazon yesterday. So, we don't certain items are we don't always buy the same items. And the other thing is, which is real hard for people to understand, is if Harlan finds something cool, I'm just as excited that he found it as if I would have found it, because when you're truly out there with people that are you're really good friends with, his success is a great thing. I cheer for him to win as much as I do. So, but not everybody can see that. It takes a maturity level. So the second yard sale of the day, we went. I had a list of the stores of the houses in the neighborhood that were supposed to have sales. We skipped the big yard sale to go to this neighborhood. They had 40 houses participating, and I'm like, man, 32 is supposed to be participating. And Harlan's looking at it. I guess they're not awake yet. They're not doing it. And when we went by, he caught his eye that their garage is behind the house. So it's one of those houses that the garage is, you have to drive back or out behind it. He said, "Wait a minute, they're back there." And I'm like, "All right." So I hit the brakes. We went back there, and Harlan asked the lady. She had a bunch of shoes. I mean, a bunch. How much are the shoes? And she said, "Just $1 a pair." And so I'm on one side of the garage, and I pick up some, and then I go back over to where he is, and he's looking at shoes. Um, and I noticed that I had picked up a few more pairs, and so as I looked, there were 2 or 3 pairs that I said, here, you need these. We need to be about even. So that's another thing we always do is video games, especially if we find a pile of video games at the same time. We'll just take turns picking. We've bought stuff together and just divide it up. What's fair. I mean, it's
So
not.
Northeastern has a question. I see like partially answered it, but it'll work better if you answer it more completely.
So North.
Going on vacation for Amazon, just go to your little gear tab or your settings tab, click account info. It's the second thing from the top. It says go on vacation. Only for FBA M though, not FBA.
Yeah, that's the big difference. Is you'll still sell on Amazon if you have stuff in FBA because you don't. It never turns off because once you send it in, you don't have any control over it. So it'll just go. There's one thing you can't put on vacation mode is messages. And so if a customer messages you, even if you're in vacation mode, you still have 24 hours to answer because they keep that metric. So bear that in mind that even if Steve's going to take a week's vacation here in a couple of weeks, you got to keep an eye on your phone because you've got 24 hours to answer a customer.
So it'll work great for FBM. You cannot make sales on FBM products during the time you're on vacation. And it's simpler than eBay. You just click it, and then when you come back, you click it off. I mean, I don't think there's any time period. You can put it on permanent if you want, but.
And just to follow up on that, on the RSL thing, there was something this week that was new sealed, and Harlan doesn't sell FBA. He will put a few things on Amazon, but a lot of things that are new sealed, he'll point out to me and go, you might want to check that. If we're on the opposite sides of the RSL, that looks like something you might be interested in. We don't buy the same things. Why did I buy the slicer for 10 that he didn't buy? Because I sell it to Amazon, and I sold it as new because the box was open but it had never been out. It even had somebody's label on it where they had that. I guess they had private labeled or had it personally boxed. But I found their listing and sold that item. I got $89 for that slicer.
Nice.
So Northeastern says doing FBM. Yep. So that will work exactly like eBay then. Except for the one thing, eBay now has it where you can set an away time where if you're going to be gone from the 3rd to the 10th, for example, you can. Amazon, you just have to turn it back on. There's no calendar settings or anything that kind of stuff. David, nice.
I think you could probably do it from your phone too. I do it from the desktop, but
you can.
So if you go on your vacation, you forget, and you're halfway down the road somewhere, I'm sure you can do it from your phone.
Yeah. Yes, it's pretty much the same thing. Under
Backyard Mowing wants to know, sent first FBA shipment, says delivered. How long does it take them to make it active? It can take however long they want.
If you hit the little hamburger on the Amazon app, if you hit the little hamburger in the top corner, there'll be another gear on that menu. Hit the gear, and then vacation settings are right there. You can set your account on vacation from your phone.
Yep, good.
Which is nice to know because say you're on your way home and you want to start FBM back up, especially if you've got 2 days handling. And I don't want to carry my laptop because blah, blah, blah. You can do a lot of things. They've made the app much more. One of the few things you still can't do is give a refund for the most part. But other than that, everything else you can do. So why the basics, Peter? Why do you want to talk about the basics this morning? Backyard mowing. Sent first FBA shipment, says delivered. So you just need to watch it. It'll move from delivered to processing. And then once they're finished processing it, it's usually, I hate to be the one to tell you, 10 to 12, up to 14 days. It can take up to 2 weeks because you have just sent your items to a transfer warehouse. So basically is a receiving warehouse. They're going to sort all your items and, say you sent 100 of these Costa hats in. and they want 40 of them in California, and they want 20 of them in the Northeast and 20 of them in the South. They're going to now put these on different trucks and send them out, and then they're going to have to be received again. So it's up to 2 weeks. But they will still be available for sale while they're moving them around. It's usually within 48 hours. They will, depending on the warehouse, but most warehouses are 48 hours from delivery to receiving. Lag is so nice. You better watch out. Well, that's what happens when you're as old as we are. You tend to be nice, right? Lag's in his mid-50s, I think. He claimed to be a teenager the other day when I was watching, but we know better.
Nah, there's no way.
He's probably some 48-year-old woman, flaming liberal who's been torching the streets of Philadelphia.
Oh, is that where they're torching things nowadays?
So why?
I don't know. I don't follow the news anymore.
So why the basics? You ever had that feeling when you're, not just online reselling, but any business that you've done and work as well for a job, that if you don't refocus on the core values of that business, you kind of get lost. If you're like me, and I'll speak for Steve, you see shiny objects, you get, squirrel, you get very consumed with, what's trending and you lose sight of, what the hell you do very well and what got you doing this business to begin with. So, the one thing I would tell you is if you refocus on what you do, you bring a lot more, bring yourself back to the middle with what you're really, really good at. So, refocus it on the core values and the core strategies. Really. So one of the things especially strategies, one of the things that I used to talk about a lot, I don't say it anymore as much, but I'm mowing the grass this morning. I'm going to shut the door real quick.
You do that just about every Wednesday morning. Marcia and I want to get a robot mower, but they're a little bit expensive. I thought you were going to shut the door. To answer backyard mowing, we talked about that Amazon repricer a little bit earlier. Yes, there is an Amazon repricer. Let me see if I can find how to get to it.
All right, so
I don't remember how to get to it though.
Yeah, mowing the grass. So the one thing that I've talked about, listen on Thursdays when Roll Tide, Hawkeye Picker, is you really in this business can make a lot of money doing things other people won't do. Great example. Last couple weeks ago, I started bidding on an online auction that's an hour from here. Never been to this auction, so I went and did the pickup. So one of the things this person had in this estate sale was a lot of books. I probably bought 400 books, and the most I paid for any of the lots was $4. And so you're thinking, "Beer, why'd you buy all them freaking books?" Well, it is Larry. I think I'm the first stop of the day. That's why. The books were all religious type books. And so if you know anything about scanning books, there's a higher propensity for those to have a little bit of value. And so yesterday I started processing these books. So what's the thing people won't do is they won't buy a lot of books. They're heavy, they're bulky. What do you do with them? So I sent them all in yesterday. They filled the ones that I kept were 4 of the small moving boxes, 110 books. I spent $650 at this estate sale. Those books in profit on Amazon are worth $1,100. Average sales rank was about $900,000 for the total lot. That's pretty decent, folks. And so, other people don't like books. Other people think they're boring. I like estate sales, and that's what was available. And did I look up any of the books before I bought them or bid on them? No. I was just taking a gamble that two books would cover $4. It's not a gamble.
Yeah, right.
Hey, good morning, Mark. It's and so, how many people would have told? Then you've got to go pick them up. Books are heavy when you go pick out 400 books. Books are heavy. Uh, so so there you have it. Do things that others won't do. Um, I talk about you scanning extra items when you're in the store. How many people go in this? You see these new resellers. How many of them go in, check the clearance, and tell you the stores suck and they can't find nothing, and they leave? Yeah, that's not. How many people are you know I won't learn anything at ASD. I don't know anybody. I've never flown. They can make a million excuses not to do something that will benefit their business. And then you start watching that person, and they're always making excuses. They're always behind. Refocus on your core values and strategies. It'll you know the next thing I will tell you is if you go back to basics, it really simplifies your operations. It really allows you to see what's important and what got you to where you are. Um, and so it will make your life easier the more you get back to doing the things that have got you where you are and kept you where you are. Um, yeah, Mr. Sadie. Okay, so a problem with sales rank. Larry asked, under a million decent or depends on book sale rate. Most of the time, under a million is decent. But the one thing I would tell you about under a million is Amazon tends to be on a lot of books under a million. And so you're gonna have pricing issues going against Amazon because they will. It's amazing uh, the strategy they use is they'll sell it for a loss to keep things moving and to attract customers to their platform because they make money on us. Um, but I use Scout IQ, and it gives you their E score, which gives you a so there were 3 or 4 books that were in the 2 to 3 million I sent in, just because they were new. Um, Actually, I sent them in as like new. I didn't send them in as new, but you'll be amazed if you can get the like new price. You can get about 90% of the value, up to 90. Between I traded between 80 and 90% on a like new book. Um, but it's the sales rank is a picture in time. You don't know if I've got a book that's a 900,000 rank. If 5 people bought it and it's pushed that rank down, and now nobody's bought it for 2 weeks and it's on its way back up, or if it's they just bought them today and that rank is on its way down. So you really need to look at Kiva charts. That's why Scout IQ is so helpful. Um, um,
Books are a great way to start on Amazon too. I mean, it's low barrier to entry. What is Scout IQ nowadays? $14 a month still, or
yeah,
something?
40 bucks a month,
I mean, it's cheap to get started.
and you can buy Gaylords of books for. Just be careful where you buy them from because you don't want to buy Gaylord books that people have scanned through. The one thing I tell you, if you're in a larger metropolitan areas, there's book sales everywhere. Lots of libraries, lots of churches, lots of things do book sales. You can find books in every thrift store. You can, and even if other people scan them, their threshold for buying a book might be different than yours. You could go to yard sales and take a card out and say, hey, if you don't sell any of these books, I'd be happy to take them off your hands because most people don't know what to do with them when they're done. Estate sales, especially, you'll find a lot of books that have not been scanned. I buy a lot of books now at estate sales. So, books.
Learn your area too, because here, if I go to a book sale, I might as well stay home because there's so many people scanning books at a book sale. But if I go to an estate sale or a yard sale, well, they're not there. So I have a much better chance here. Or buying maybe in bulk on Facebook Marketplace or something like that. But just like he said, be careful because they might be booksellers who are getting rid of their crap.
Yeah.
So you gotta know where the source is from. But
Like one of
it's
the,
a low barrier to entry. It's a good way to start.
I'm gonna do books again today because I can see from a couple of estate sales the last few weeks. I've still got about 40 books on the counter. Those books are books that I don't have to sort through. I just need to list them. So it'd be another morning of sending in another box of books. Um, the one thing I would tell you too is not only does it so if you're refocusing on what you do and you're getting back to simple, it improves your customer experience. Not only if you're not distracted by some of the stuff that has got you away from your core or what you do, you make better listings. You don't make as many mistakes. A lot of times you're generally happier because you're doing the things that you enjoy with this business because it's what's got you where you were and what you're good at. So you would treat your customer, if they have a return or whatever, they have some kind of issue. You're more apt to treat them better. So what you'll give them, whether it's better listings, better pictures, better service, their experience overall is improved. So you've got those three things so far. Um, so I'll tell you the exact opposite now. So if you get back to basics and you've got everything, if you're streamlining things, it'll also increase your flexibility because it'll open your eyes up, especially if you do some evaluations and go, man, I'm getting back to doing this. I was doing this for a while and it kind of distracted me. It wasn't 100% what I really wanted to do. But as you get back to basics, you will still see more opportunities, and it'll allow you to, maybe you're chasing after A, you're trying to do A, but B is sitting here going, look at me, but you can't see that opportunity and something. And so as you get back to focusing on basics, you see opportunity again that, you might have been blinded to because, you're out chasing the latest hot, whatever the hot thing is. And I'm as guilty as anybody else. I'll get out and chase a hot thing, which that's one of the most dangerous strategies you can have, by the way, if you didn't know the strategy of chasing a hot item. Can you make money on it? Yes. But you better be put on the full armor of Ricky Bobby. If you ain't first, you better be last. And then if you're going to be last, you better be prepared to tie up the money in it. Because if you go to all this expense chasing a hot item and go, well, I'll list it in a couple of weeks, you might miss the curve and everybody and their brother finds it in the next couple of weeks. So,
yep.
What's the website, Bob? We're talking about the guy who was doing books. Sells on Google and has a website. I guess, he has his own personal website, I would think.
That's a hard way to go now. If he's successful with it, that's great, but I'd rather use a service like Amazon who does all the work for me, and all I have to do is put stickers on the damn thing.
Yeah, it's amazing how if you refocus and get back to the basics of what you do, it's amazing how you get a lot of clarity when you do that. It's you can see, evaluate what you're doing and other things you could be doing. It's I was excited for yesterday. Within 20 minutes of resetting the repricer, my sales immediately kicked up. I'm like, I really can't. Do I even listen to my own self-talk? What the hell? Lag still selling fidget spinners, but that's a great example. Lag. How many of you guys go to flea markets? Is there a flea market in the country that somebody's not trying to sell fidget spinners still?
Still.
The llama. I don't know. Do y'all would it remind you about the llama? So if you're new here, welcome. The llama. He sings around to remind me of a terrible adventure of ignoring those dreaded damn drop shippers, assholes. Yep, there you go.
It's the reminder that even though the hot product has all the indicators, it may not be the best thing to buy.
That's a good one. That's a $500 llama. In case I lost $500 with that purchase, so that's a $500 llama I keep hanging around. It's so Lag took some clarity. Did your mom feed it to you with your cereal, Lag? She made you like a bowl of oatmeal and said, "Here, honey, take your Claritin." Is that what happened? It seems video game selling is better for me on eBay or Amazon. It's some of us the luck of the draw, Mark. Whose eyes are on it. The nice thing about Amazon is, you got way more eyes. You should sell things faster, I would think, on that side. But never discount eBay. A lot of people, especially used items, really focus on, you know, when you tell people I've been selling a lot more used stuff on Amazon, they look at you and go, "You can sell used stuff on Amazon?" You know, there's a core group of people out there, including resellers, who have no clue that used items sell well on Amazon. You just can't sell used clothing and used food. There's a couple there and used HBA. There are certain categories of used you can't sell, but for the most part, toys,
I think
sporting goods, kitchen appliances,
I think
cameras.
with video games, you have so much competition on Amazon, and if you're not like Scott's using the repricer, you might get it. It's a little harder on used items because you're competing against different conditions too. I sell a lot of new video games on Amazon, but most of my used stuff goes to eBay. I have better luck there.
So Lag's mom crushed his Claritin in his orange juice this morning. That's nice to know. What else does she put in your orange juice?
I can use some Claritin right now.
Your Ritalin or your Prozac? Did she put all that in there too?
I could use some Ritalin right now.
Um, Sega Saturn.
My mom was one of the first people who said Ritalin. Oh hell no, you're not giving that to my kids. So thanks, mom. Thank
But
you.
so Mark, let's think about this. So if I just told you that so many customers don't understand you can buy used items, and so a Sega Saturn, how many new ones are out there? There can't be but a handful of new ones out there available. So if you're a customer and you're looking for something that either for parts or used, a lot of those customers, and you're talking about a Sega Saturn, how many 14, 15-year-old gamers right now are going, you know what? I'd like a Sega Saturn. Or is that something that someone in upper age groups, because they go, man, I had a Sega Saturn when I was younger. I'd really like to have it again just for nostalgia. So I would think that that item, especially something like that, you would think, older people will look for used items on eBay. So that one would be a good item. So I'm not sure he just gets sleepy after his orange juice. uh, but video games, used ones that use new, it doesn't matter. They do sell very, very fast on Amazon for sure, especially if you send them into FBA. It's amazing. So, like John Jones wants to know: is there a trail of people that are standing in line waiting for the orange juice? Um, yeah, but new Legos, 100% Amazon. It's just a matter of the strength of Amazon. They sell a lot of products new very, very quickly, and Legos are one of those popular items that are just seems like they'll be popular our whole lifetime. I don't see Legos fading anytime soon, unless
Well,
they
they've been
make
around. How many years have they been around? I mean, since the 40s or something.
unless they
50s?
make a crazy marketing decision, like a certain alcoholic beverage is made. Um,
That wasn't even. Here's the thing. It wasn't really even a marketing decision. They only made one can.
no,
But
but no, but
it's
they
totally
also
against. It's totally against their demographics. It was the opposite of what they.
but
Uh,
he also tweeted during the Super Bowl about a contest. So there was more to it than just the can.
now it might have gone farther had the reaction been different. I agree with that. But at this point, that's all it was. But it was such a bad decision because prior to that, they said they were going. Oh, this is not what the show is about. But prior to that, the lady said that they were going to do things like that. You know, that they're going to try to be more diverse. Well, they jumped in with both feet, didn't they? And I get diversity, whatever. You want to get a bigger market, but you got to also understand, and that goes to reselling. You got to understand what your core market is. If you're marketing to younger people, but it's an older people's product, you got to understand whether that should be sold on eBay, Amazon, or Etsy or whatever.
So who said that? Somebody said Mark says that medical tape is trash. It keeps cutting itself off. The one thing I would tell you, Mark, is I would tell you that it's your fault. It's 100% your fault. And why do I say that? That tape is doing exactly what it was designed to do. The one thing about the medical mart tape on eBay is they sell in different thicknesses. So if you went for the cheapest price, you got the 1.5 mil or whatever it is. I always buy the 1.9 all the way up to the 2.4 and pay a little bit more to get the better tape. Um, I guess when we talk about that, we should remind people
Probably, yeah.
they because they sell so much stuff and so much variety, and look at it and go, that's the same listing over and over. I'm gonna pick the cheap one. Uh, Check the thickness of the tape. That's the one
I
thing.
had the same experience with that tape. The first time I bought it, I'm like, this stuff is garbage. It wasn't garbage. It was what it was. It was the cheap stuff. And then I went up to the 1.9 or 2 or above is generally what I get nowadays if I buy it. But once I went up to the 1.9, never had an issue again.
Yeah, because you got to buy at least the 1.9.
It's good tape. I'm a cheapskate, man, and that's what so I have to learn hard lessons a lot of the time, and that was one of them.
So Lag says he loves fruit roll up. So evidently Lag peruses. So have you heard about the fruit roll up carried on here? So it's all over TikTok about
the frozen one.
No. Evidently, I don't know who started it, but it went viral on TikTok about. I think it was a lady doing videos, and now a bunch of them do videos about what they'll put a fruit roll up on and what they'll be doing with that fruit roll up to their men. There you go. Yes, Mark, it does.
I mean, hey, whatever makes you happy, right?
Yes.
Pretty sure Bill Clinton used Altoids. Well, not Bill, Monica.
I believe it tells you in the description, Mark.
Just go through all their listings. Sometimes they don't put a thickness. Other times they do. If you're buying it off eBay, I don't know how the Amazon side of things goes, but I always bought it off eBay. I always make sure I'm not buying a tape unless I know what the thickness is.
That's why, you know what I tell you? Get a paper tape machine. What the hell?
If you can.
So here it says that 24 rolls, 3-inch wide, tape, sealing, clear, 2 mil, 3-inch. So this one does, and it is medical by mail. So but then the one right below it doesn't say. Who is that? That's packing supplies. Let's go to there.
Packing supplies by mail, medical mart by mail, anything such thing by mail is all the same company, by the way. And I know Scott knows that.
See other item. It looks like Medical Mart does a good job. Here's 24 rolls at 2.3 mil. Looks like for the most part. But here, the next one down, 36 rolls. They don't. The 2-inch they don't tell you.
1.9 or 2 mil is sufficient for what we do. The higher you go, it's just going to be thicker tape.
Full description. So this one is 1.6. It doesn't say, and it's 1.6. So, but it says in the description down in the item specifics, item specification, total thickness 1.6 mil. So there you go. Man, David, you were setting off the doorbell. I bet Phoebe's been barking every time, and Johnny's been yelling at Phoebe. Yeah, the 1.6 is pretty much trash. 1.9 is where you need to be. 2.3 is really solid. So I think if you're used to using like duck brand tape or 3M, that 2.3, 2.4 range is where most of that is. Nobody wants to talk to you. Go away.
Yeah, you'll notice when you buy duck brand packing tape from the store, it feels different. Well, that's just because it's thicker.
John, I'm on a different computer, and I tried to put you on there, and it didn't put you on there. Do it again.
Bob wants to know how my driving's going with the DoorDash and stuff. Yeah, there's some burnout. It takes It takes a lot out of you because it's not what I'm used to doing, but I like it still.
I know when I'm not wanted.
Yeah, I've got the screen set over because I've got my notes on this side, and I and your little bottom thing down there, I can just see your foreheads. And I tried clicking on it, but it.
Who? No, you told me to go away, so I did.
Oh, okay. I'm like, did I hit the wrong
Have
thing?
you lost more weight since the last time you've been on? Gosh darn, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Was it Lori or somebody
Nice.
that posted a picture of you guys like a while ago, and then the one that was
It
a
was
freaking
exactly 1 year apart.
that was freaking amazing, dude. I was like, holy.
You couldn't see it all because the shirt was way too big on me.
Right.
But we were at a steakhouse and it was the only thing I had to wear. I have no clothes left. I've had to buy everything has been bought new.
Yeah, I was thinking about you yesterday and laughing. Tracy and I were walking up and down the clothes aisle, and I found a pair of black jeans. That they were black Levi's I think they were $4, $5. And Tracy comes around the corner and goes, "Oh, here's some big boy pants." I'm like, and we held them up. I'm like, a size 50. That used to be John. That's what I thought about. I'm like, because I remember you saying you're like a 50 or 52. I'm like, and you're holding these things up, and you're like, were these? I think they were pants by Omar. I think Omar the tent maker made them.
I'm a 38 now.
That's
Holy shit, that's where I'm at.
Okay, so
I just had to go up a size because I'm up to 283 pounds now, which is not acceptable. So I gotta go down.
So the next thing I would tell you guys is if you're doing all this stuff and getting back to your basics, it's a lot less stressful to do things you know well. And if you feel stressed out and it's maybe because you're beating your head trying to make something work, that it's either out of your purvey, out of your expertise, something that you don't enjoy, and you've gone down a rabbit hole of reselling that, if you want to reduce stress, get back to what you do well. It's amazing. Remember, most of us are single, except for John. Most of us are single people working, and you got to understand that the more you try things, the more things you put on your plate, you up your stress level considerably. So, Lag's 38. Didn't you say you were 20 something the other day?
You said 53 earlier. I don't know.
He's from Philadelphia. What do you expect? Anybody that likes the Eagles, they can't count.
But that might be a lie too. That could be a lie too. I don't know why you'd lie about that.
Yeah, nobody would lie about being an Eagles fan.
True.
Mm-mm-mm. So yeah,
I'm not under 200 yet.
I passed the test again. Saturday after yard sales, we went and grabbed wings for lunch, and not only did they bring the salad with it, but they brought French fries as well. And the only person who ate my fries, Harlan, had a couple. I didn't eat any. So for me to pass fries up twice is
Actually, I eat fries now.
well, their fries are not great. They were just there. So
well, when I eat fries, it's like an ounce and a half. I eat like we've had McDonald's twice on this, and both times we've gotten fries, and we got a small fry, and there was fries left over between Lori and I.
So right now you're just basically doing portion control.
Oh yeah, we manage. I mean, a lot of things I go, okay, that's not good for me. But sometimes we splurge. I mean, we've gone out to dinner and had mashed potatoes, big fancy desserts. Bread, eating it all, and go step on the scale the next day, and I'm up 2 pounds. I'm like, okay, I got to be real strict for the next week. My goal is to be under 200. I mean, it's like business though. You got to do what works for you.
I bet John a couple of things. I bet the dessert y'all order, I bet you and Lori split one instead of each one you're getting it.
Yeah.
Which would have been in the past, you'd have consumed all the calories and she'd have consumed them. So you're already starting off with half. And I would bet you would tell people too, now that you don't eat as much and you eat less, and I bet you get full faster because your stomach is shrinking, and you understand.
Oh,
And because the worst thing that we ever done to Generation X was tell us that we had to clean our plates. And you know, even if you're full, you find yourself overeating. You know, there are a lot of people out there who truly believe in eating until you're satiated, or you're satisfied that craving. But most of the time we go overeating now. Now that I've been doing keto again since January, my God.
I just thought about it, Scott. I still have that clean my plate mentality. If it's there, I have to finish it, even though I don't want to.
That's a strong thing, a psychological thing to overcome for sure.
Well, in my family, we didn't have a lot of money. So if it was on the plate, you're wasting. And I get it. I understand that. And I feel nowadays that if I don't, because Marcia cooks, my meals, if I don't finish it, I'm insulting her or something, and that's not true because she doesn't finish her own stuff sometimes, so it's like, why would I, that's the mindset I have to get out of.
So, one way to combat that, Steve, is you can have that same idea if you don't go back for seconds. And we only eat on the salad plates. We don't eat. It's unless company comes over, which is once or twice a year. We don't use the big plates. We use the smaller plates too. So there is a perception that when I put the stuff on the plate, that craziness that's in my head about finishing the plate and that kind of stuff, because I still eat that way too. When you're a smaller plates, you got a lot less to begin with. So.
And I take the bad stuff last.
So the one thing I
put vegetables on my plate first. I put meat on my plate first, and then, if there's potatoes or something, I may put a little touch of potatoes because there's a little space on my salad plate. I don't go to the potatoes first. It's the last thing I put on my plate now.
One thing I would say, if you're really concerned about your diet and those kind of things, get the opinion of a lot of people. If you're going to do it on YouTube, watch several. Because I was watching a guy, I don't know if I told this online or not, but that guy, he wears a glucose monitor for doing all his testing for his channel, and he was wanting to know, did the order of which he ate something, did it make a difference on his blood sugar? And absolutely true, John. Like what John just said, if you eat the vegetables first, and then meat, and then the starches behind everything, the body, there's something with the way the body does with fat that doesn't allow for the sugar to spike nearly as much. The same thing was if you're gonna eat a hamburger, you're much better off eating the Wendy's double than the smaller singles or smaller whatever, because the ratio of protein to that is you get a lot more protein. Even if you only eat half of it, you're still eating way more protein with a lot more meat. And so the amount of protein will offset some of how your blood sugar acts. It's a fascinating what they're learning these days. And, you find people who are not paid by the sugar industry to tell you all fat's all bad. It's not all bad, and you got to do some research, and then you've got to experiment with your own body, because just because it works well for one person doesn't mean it. So listen to quite a few folks.
And listen, diet's easy. It's calories in, calories out. It really is calories in, calories out. If you're going to eat, I have a friend that runs, God only knows how many miles. She runs 20 miles a day, probably. You know why she runs? She runs so she can eat whatever she wants during the day. Yeah, skinny as a toothpick. She burns up the calories so that she can eat what she wants during the day.
I was listening to somebody the other day, and they were like, it doesn't matter. All the diets all work very similar. You've got to be at a calorie deficit.
And listen, when you get the energy, don't sit on your ass.
That's the biggest issue, I think, right there. It's because we're all resellers. A lot of what we do is sitting on our ass. And I'm a driver now. You know, I'm getting in and out of the car, but that's not a lot of exercise. I'm walking from my car door to somebody's porch, which might be 20 feet at the most, you know. So,
You know, I spent probably 7 hours yesterday climbing up and over and around and under my side by side, trying to get the lights. I got a set of lights in and wired.
Can you imagine doing that last year?
I First of all, I wouldn't have fit under it, and the thing sits 4 feet off the ground. I wouldn't have been able to get under it. I wouldn't have gotten that done. I would have paid somebody to do it. Now it's like, I got to get out there and do it before the sun gets too hot.
But a lot of it too is you can help yourself by changing the way you think, not just about food and that kind of stuff, but also um, adding in extra steps in your day. Do you need to fight the person for the closest parking place up front, or you just park out in the boondocks and can't get the fact that, you know, I would tell you, walk around your neighborhood. Oh, Beard, I'm too busy. I don't have time for that. Well, then park a little farther out and build walking in. You're going into these buildings to the second floor. Walk up the stairs. Do things that 2 or 3 flights of stairs. You'll be amazed at how many steps and just the calorie burn. If you change the way you think about, getting exercise and getting motion and that kind of, one of the
We
first
park
things.
at the last spot now. We park the furthest out we can. And when I started doing it, man, did it freaking hurt.
So if you're
Now,
doing
now I can almost jog from the last spot to Walmart without breathing.
I'd pay to see that.
You'd be surprised. I mean, it's amazing.
Dude, I can't wait to see you in person again, just to see the difference.
I mean, we went to the Amish country for 3 days, and my buddy's mother wasn't doing too well, so we kind of went and snuck up there, and we had no donuts, no pies, no buffets. We had salad. I ate salad every night I was there. We didn't go out. We ate at our buddy's house, and we cooked good meals. In fact, I made pizza one night. I made cauliflower pizza one night. They were like, "Wow, I could eat this all the time." I'm like, that was one of the things we did. We found substitutes for some of the foods. The cauliflower pizza, I love it.
Hey, 6-2, man, I'm gonna kill your name. I appreciate. Hit thumbs up if you don't mind. We talk about reselling a lot, but a lot of reselling is if you don't take care of yourself because you're the person, you're the engine that drives this business. It's absolutely important. That's I'm trying to get to 185. I hit 208 yesterday, which was good for me because I'd spent about 3 weeks not losing any weight. Sometimes you just get plateaus and it can be very frustrating. But just continue pushing and you'll be amazed. You'll get to the other side. So I'm back to losing a little bit of weight now. The weather's getting better, so I will be more active and do more walking. You do retail arbitrage, change the way you think. Make an extra lap. You'd be amazed how many steps it is if you make one big circle around a Walmart. Look at you. Get something as simple as a watch or a phone, and your phone will track these things. And how many steps if you go all around the main circuit of a Walmart? You'll be amazed at how huge these stores are. And
yeah, I know where the hidden bakeries are, where they still cook with wood.
All right, so the last thing I've got for you is you're getting back to what you're doing. You're treating people better. You're looking for more opportunities. You're more flexible. You're less stressed. If you're back to your basics, it makes you way more competitive, folks. It really ups your game. Getting back to your core, what you do well, you'll be amazed. How much better you feel, how much more positive your attitude, and then it makes you a much more competitive business person. Because when you're under high stress and how many of these people that are saying, eBay's dead, the sky's falling, all this stuff, that's got to be a terrible mindset to be in, and then try to push through it and continue listing and continue looking for opportunities and trusting that what you do, I would challenge those people, get back to doing exactly. This person I saw in one of the groups who was saying, that they used to sell this, they don't sell it. They gave their store out there, and everybody was like, dude, your prices are way high. What the hell? And then you're buying stuff that takes a special buyer for a lot of glass and other things, some glass and some clothing. I was like, and I had the same thing. I looked at it and goes, I didn't look at the prices, but my first thought was these prices look expensive. The second thought was you're selling all long-term items. The product mix of what you sell matters. Hell, I saw a Mr. Buddy heater yesterday, and it's freaking April. There's a market for a lot of things.
It's cold here in Arizona, though. It's 66 this morning.
We had
So
snow
here,
yesterday.
Listen, one of the things is you got to think about the 80-20 rule too, especially you guys that are single sellers, meaning you don't have any help whatsoever. You have to think about what 20% of your product line makes you 80% of your money. If you don't think that will affect your income, try it. I challenge you to try it, because what happens is when you find that 80% that's making you that 20% that's making you 80% of your income, you increase what you're buying of that 20% to make more income. And that's true with any life.
I'll be in Erie on Friday.
Tim said that when he turns to when he's to die, he turns into an asshole. I would tell you, buddy, you're probably on the wrong diet. I'm telling you, if you've never tried keto, maybe you have, Tim. Keto, after you get past the third day is it. The third day is when the cravings start immediately dying. Your appetite starts dying. It's amazing, how little food you need, and once you switch to it, you get rid of that sugar. That sugar is a poison. It's hard to get past the first 3 days because people, I can't do this. Man, there's so many options out there. Would I drive 2 hours? Depends on how many of them I can. So here's my question for you, Mark, is if you're driving an hour there, an hour back, there's got to be other opportunity on that way there and on that way back. And that's what I would do. If I find an item that I can make $100 profit on and it costs me a couple hours, $50 an hour, and then by the time I take expenses,
if I ain't getting out of freaking bed for $50 an hour.
I can find something else on that same other opportunity on that way there and back, I would definitely do it.
I did it one time. I drove 2 hours there, and I had them meet me at a Goodwill, and I did really good at that Goodwill. And then on the way home, I did more Goodwills. This is before I got into Amazon. But yeah, it also depends on the item too. How fast is that item going to sell? Is it something you're going to have to sit on a long time?
Yeah. I miss RA. I really, really miss RA. I struggle going into a Walmart and not scanning because I miss the thrill of the hunt.
Yeah, Mark, but that would be my answer is what can you add to it even if you add another hour to your trip, what can you do to double down, triple down, and make that a much more profitable 2 to 3 hours versus just the one item?
What I've learned is you really got to apply the 80-20 rule. Is that item part of your 80% of income?
Well, he sells a lot of video games, so that might be.
Yeah, well, video games is that's a specialty niche, and to some people, $100 is a lot of money in profit.
Yeah, the answer for that, Mark, will be different. Where John's got employees and does that kind of stuff and doesn't do RA anymore, he would tell you no. But there are lots of other people whose sales are struggling and really need to, that would tell you, oh yeah, for 2 hours I would run and grab that. So
Why are your sales struggling? Uh, Anybody that has struggling sales isn't paying attention to what their business is doing. My sales are up 33% over last year. When you get into the millions of dollars, 33% is a huge amount of money to be up.
that's a big number for sure.
It's not because I changed anything, it's because I found what was selling and I'm selling more of it. It's all I'm doing. If I was selling gravy mix and it was selling, then that's where I'd be looking. If your sales are dying, look at what's selling and do more of that. Not more of what you want to do, because I want to do RA. I mean, if I was going to make, if it was my choice, I'd be out there running the streets. My wife loves it too. She misses it. She misses all the, how many road trips did her and I go on over the years? So you have to find where the money is. For everybody, it's different. I know for Marcia, she's selling an item, and it doesn't sell as well as it used to for me, but it's steady. If you
She
need
sold
to go out,
5, 10, 15 of those a week.
So I will not be having a blue beard tonight at the concert because I just sold it.
And that's an item that we have to travel for. We have to travel 2 hours to go get the items, but she's getting 100 or 200 at a time.
I was going to say, you're not going for one. You're going for a carload.
And now when we go there, they see us and they're like, "Yep, take them," because they know that they're just going to sit there on their shelves for the most part if somebody doesn't. So some of the stores have questions, but she's honest with them and they're cool with it.
Yeah, well, in that area, they're very cool with it, because my loud ass has been in there time and time and time again. They know when I walk in the door.
But we're not also just buying that one item when we're down there. I'm buying stuff. She's buying other stuff. We're scanning not scanning, but looking through these stores to find other items. So now my sales are down. And you know why? Because I'm not paying attention to my business right now. I'm out doing other things. I'm driving. I made $82 last week on eBay. That sucks. However, it's only because I'm not listing. I haven't listed in 2 or 3 weeks. I'm not buying the things I know sell because I don't have time to.
You have to pay attention. I'm learning because I want out of my business. I want to retire. I want to be officially done so that I can do whatever I want. And if it means still working, then I'm going to still work. You have to figure out what works for you and do more of that. If it's selling peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, then sell more peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Don't try and do like I do and sell flags or whatever it may be. You have to find what works for you and do more of it.
And the other problem with that too, Mark, is if you're going to go an hour there and an hour back, and say that you see no other opportunity for yourself well, then if you're going to do it anyway, that would be a great time to spend a little bit extra time. There's got to be a different store in that area that you don't know. Use it as a learning. I would, if I was going to do it, I would find something else to do on this trip. Whether it was, remember, just because you don't buy anything else, but you learn things, there's a lot of value in that as well. I'm a firm believer in, I've been picking with Stephen and John, and they've seen the same thing. I get what I came for, but then I check, 10, 15, 20 other items, I want to continue learning. And so even if you don't buy anything else, but you have the opportunity to learn a new store, stop somewhere else, eliminate different places, whatever it is, just because you might not pick up any extra sales on on a small trip doesn't mean you can't get information. Um, the other thing is if the person is selling that on Facebook Marketplace, I would see what the hell else they're selling. If they're willing to sell you an Explorer guitar for $5, what the hell else do they not want? Mark a good thing. If you do it, seem to do some Facebook Marketplace. If you go follow John, Rad Relics, John's not everybody's cup of tea, but the one thing I can tell you is he's got a sheet of paper that he gives out that's very similar to what what are the crazy pickers?
American Pickers. Yeah.
American Pickers. It says, I'm looking for all this. You'd be amazed. You give somebody something like that, and they'll go, well, I've got this, and this that I really don't want. And just maximize your time.
I'd also tell you, Mark, if they're selling that guitar, if it's worth quite a bit of money and they're selling it for $5, make sure you check that thing over pretty doggone good, just in case. My son just went and bought it was a PS2 guitar for Guitar Hero or whatever for PS2, $5 off of Facebook Marketplace. Totally did this on his own, and he sold that within a week for, I don't know, $40 or $50. So I mean, you can find those kind of deals, and if you're looking, and he's not some big eBay seller. He's just a kid who wants to make a couple extra bucks,
I'm trying to find I've got a picture of John's sheet. I'm trying to find
So Mark says he's dealt with this guy before. So if it worked out well before, then it should work out well this time.
People ask me all the time, what should I do? I showed Steve's wife the item that she's selling. And she's got a whole, if she really got into it, there's a whole opportunity there of a whole market, because it's not just the one item. You have to find your lane. I've said this for years, and if you think it's bad now, give it 6 months. It's going to get worse before it gets better. It has to get worse. The way the economy is going, the economy will predict. The economy will eventually have to have some kind of correction. You don't hear about housing prices at all-time highs anymore. I'm down. I've dropped my price $25,000, and I'm still sitting on my house.
Oh, that guy didn't buy it?
Nah. It's fine. It's fine. The worst case scenario is I've already decided that if it doesn't sell by the end of summer, I'm going to call a contractor in and have them gut it and remodel the whole thing just the way Lori and I want. This property has gone up.
Mark says one of his issues is that everything he buys requires testing. Well, you figure that into your, costs when you're buying. What's your time, worth? So you got to figure that in when you're buying things. I love testing things. I love making things work. So for me, whatever. But for other people, maybe you need to buy things that you don't test if that's causing you some issues. I like the testing, but
I've always said have a niche. There's so many things that I would do different if I was to have to start over again. I wouldn't go as wide as I am. I wouldn't be in so many markets. I would be a lot more choosy. I would be cutting out. If I didn't have partnerships with some of my manufacturers, I'd probably cut 80% of my catalog so that I could focus on the 20% that makes me the most money with the least stress. And we all have those areas. Scott's is simple, and he hates it. He must hate it because he doesn't pursue it more. And that's electronics.
All right, so I actually found it. So that right there, show me pickers. He's got a sheet of paper. Uh,
And that
that he,
don't cost him, that cost him pennies to make.
yeah, you don't need a, I mean, you can make it smaller. You can adapt your own list. Um, I'll upload this. So there's a bearded picker page. If you're not liking it, follow that. I will upload this on bearded pickers. The Facebook page, and so you can download it. Give you some ideas, um, and how to make your own. I mean, it takes. It's not hard. Oh, but I don't have Microsoft. I don't want to pay for it. There's free Word Office suites out there. LibreOffice is really good. OpenOffice.org is really good. You can use Canva has a free section. You can build something like that on Canva, and then just print them out. Print out 5 or 10 of them. So I'll upload that after the show.
I remember way back when I told everybody I was going to go door to door selling flags, and they laughed at me. They thought I was nuts. After one summer, I had to take my truck off the road because I had big signs. I had a Ford 1-ton van. I had signs on the side of it. I had people pulling up next to me, dialing the number, calling me while I was trying to drive down the road to go somewhere. Hey, can you pull over so we can buy some flags from you? If you focus on one way of doing something, you perfect it and you become better at it. Beard is amazing when it comes to electronics. I've seen him walk into a thrift store and be able to fill a cart without even looking it up, knowing that he's going to look any of them up. He knows where the money is. If you have something like that, that's where you need to find your lane. If you're struggling, now listen, Scott's not struggling. He pays his bills every month without an issue. So for him to expand in other areas and check out other things, that's one thing. But if you're struggling, find where your money making is and stick and get into it. Stick to it.
And for me right now, that's driving because it pays me daily. Is it making me more than eBay would? Maybe. It's daily money. I don't have to worry about anything. My bills get paid. And until we get out of this slump, then I'll go back to full-time eBay again once we get out of it, which we figure is about a year or so.
But any kind of things and stuff you want to do. Tamara said she made a sign for their motorhome to sell their maple syrup. Most of this stuff is so easy. I don't want to know what to say. You want a new business slogan, you want a new whatever. And Chat GPT will give you all the ideas. All you gotta do is put the prompts in there. It's amazing the amount of information that you can get through the AIs. Don't want to do that one. Bard's built into the Windows 11. Down here at the bottom, there's a Bard bar. You can ask Bard anything on this Windows computer. It's amazing the amount of information at your fingertips.
The other thing is something I've always said, and people get mad, and they're like, you got to get off your freaking ass. You can't sit at home and bitch. Do I agree? Do I agree with how Steve's getting out of his situation? I don't know that that's the way I would do it, but you know what? I give the man credit because he got off his ass and he's doing something that he figured out something that works for him, and he's doing it. I see it all the time. People, oh, my sales are down. What have you done? What have you done about it? Other than bitch in 15 Facebook groups and sit on your fat ass eating bonbons watching us talk about how we're making a living.
I'll tell you why I chose the way I did, John. This time of year, and I'm only focusing on eBay nowadays. I'm not doing a lot of Amazon. I'll do DVDs and things. There's not a lot of sourcing opportunities, because of no yard sales, none of that. We don't get that until May. So this time of year, it makes more sense for me to go out and do what makes me daily money, and that
No, no,
makes,
no.
that's
Listen,
all.
I'm not knocking you, Steve. All I'm doing is
No, no, and I know you're not.
I'm pointing out the fact that you said, okay, eh, I'm struggling with reselling because I don't have the sourcing, I don't have this, I don't have that. I need to make money to support my family, whether it's just you and your wife or you and your wife and grandkids and great grandkids, whatever you're supporting. You're out there hustling. You're not looking for a handout. You're not looking for sympathy. You're doing what you got to do. I respect you for
It's
that.
it's 6 days a week. I'm out there doing that, 7 or 8 hours a day, and Marcia's out there 7 days a week. And the only time I take off is to do this show because
She's driving.
yeah,
Oh, I
right
didn't
now
know
she's doing Walmart. Walmart. I mean, if you guys are looking for something else other than Walmart is really good. It takes a while to get in. I can't get in yet. She is. She's making 150 a day on Walmart, and it's easier work. It's better than DoorDash, but whatever. It's something to do to make us, we transferred a lot of our credit cards to 0% interest cards. Well, what that did is give us 21 months to pay these higher interest cards off, and with no interest. And so the payments might be a little higher right now. So we got to make daily money. We have to. We're actually paying more, but we're doing it over a shorter period of time.
The one thing I see and the one thing I like about this show being just talking about the basics of what you do and what your business is I don't think people actually, and the other thing about focusing on basics is if you're newer, you need to come up with what the hell the basics are. How many times do I have to read in these damn Facebook groups? Look what I bought this. Can somebody tell me what they're worth?
what it's worth.
What are you doing buying something that you have no idea what it's worth? Well, I saw it in a video. You're spending way more time watching videos and that kind of stuff than you are actually doing the work. Don't get trapped. And I'm watching YouTube, so it's for my own development. I'm learning, and when you need to be out, when you need to be out there doing and understand, you got a freaking computer in your hands, and it's not that hard, and it's a lot of hairspray. It is not that hard to scan this barcode or type in punky color Bengal blue, whatever that is, Bengal blue. That is, and see what it sells for on eBay and Amazon. That is not that difficult. Same thing is, how much is this remote worth? It is not that difficult to type in electronics, especially. Oh, Beard, I don't know anything about electronics. Type in that number right there, and it'll tell you what it goes to. It'll tell you what it sells for. I can't test them. Can you? A damn dual player, you can't put a VHS tape in and a DVD in to see if they play. This is not that difficult.
Here's my favorite. I don't have any VHS tapes. Well, how much do they cost at the thrift store? You're already there.
They're $5 for $1 at the thrift store down the street. Every time I mess mine up, I go get 5 more.
Or I don't have a DVD, or I don't have a Blu-ray.
Every time it eats the 5, because you'll get the VHSs that'll eat tapes. When it eats all 5 of them, the next time I'm at the thrift store, I pick up 5 more.
It's like a landscaper without a lawnmower. I mean, if you're going to do the job, at least get the frickin' tools.
Here's a great example.
I have a shelf right here. I have a VHS tape. I have a beta. I have a CD. I have a Blu-ray. I don't have my video games up here because I have those in a different location. I have a VHS tape. I even have an 8-track up there. Those are my testing.
So me and Tracy were at the thrift store yesterday. And I walked by the electronics. And I looked all through, and somehow I missed a damn digital camera. I know y'all are thinking, Beard, how the hell did you miss a camera? Tracy's over there, picks it up, and I'm like, the battery would be whether it charges or not. I'm like, have you got one of the universal chargers? They go, yeah, I've got 2 of them. Folks, for like $8 to $10, you can buy a charger that the little pins move, and you put one on the positive and one on the minus. Every battery shows you what they are, and you plug it into an outlet to test the battery before you even buy a battery charger. He checked to see if the battery was in there, and the battery wasn't locked down. There was something wrong with that camera, so he left it. But do you have you want to do electronics? There's easy tools out there. You want to test things that go in a car. They make a little thing that you can plug in that puts 12 volts in. Those things are if you don't have one of those and sell a lot of like Garmin GPS units, oh, beer does no money in Garmin's. Most Garmin's, if it's a lifetime maps and you update them, are $30 to $35. Oh, I don't know how to update them. Plug it into your computer. It's going to automatically bring up Garmin. This is none of this stuff is hard, but are you watching videos of, oh man, look what so and so bought? He's so nice. I get it. Commonwealth Pickers are one of the nicest guys around. But the chances of you finding the odd stuff he finds, or having the team behind him that he's got, he buys a lot of Tupperware. What happens if? Well, I'm about the Tupperware. Not all Tupperware is equal. You have to have.
And he's not that concerned about how much it sells for. He sells it for cheap. He's got other sources of income other than just eBay, and it's not saying anything bad about him, but that's the things he enjoys doing.
Hey, that is a good one.
We just had this discussion yesterday. We're in our we're building a 20,000 square foot warehouse in the middle of the country. All the steel is up. They're supposed to be putting the skins on it today. Starting today, they're going to be putting skins on it. We had this discussion. When you have money sitting in the bank, you can flip for a smaller amount of profit. When you're trying to feed yourself, you need bigger profits because you can't take away from what you have to build your business with. So you have to take a piece of the profit and leave some of the profit to build the business. When you have money in the bank, it's a little easier. So somebody like you guys are talking about makes it a little easier. When I was selling, I always worked on volume pricing. I found an item that I could buy in volume. Jeans. I sold jeans. I sold thousands and thousands of. I had a tractor trailer full of jeans at one point.
Another thought.
You have to be able to source and work on volume if that's your plan.
So here's a thought that most people, you get so concerned about how much stuff you have. Hell, I've got 3 storage buildings. Don't care. My storage buildings are $210 for 3 of them. This is not a great amount of money. So, but the one thing I would tell you is, and Harlan and I have talked about a lot as we have bought stuff, trying to get it to auction and be a lot. The winter is much harder to source used items, and the prices that you're going to pay a little bit more. So what do we do at this yard sales? I have all this stuff, and we still went to yard sales Friday and Saturday, because if you have the opportunity to buy something and it's available, you don't know. You've got to buy it all. You don't know. The next 3, it's supposed to rain Saturday. That's going to eliminate yard sales this week. Don't know. I'm having trouble finding stuff. But then you go to yard sales and go, well, I don't need that many of these. Or I'm telling you, if you have the opportunity to buy, you better buy, because it is it's the opportunity. You never know when it's going to repeat itself. And leaving something behind that is in your wheelhouse, that's where you make money on, and it's part of like what the 80% John's talking. Oh, but I've got 3 or 4 of those. I don't need them, folks. That is a huge mistake. I see so many people making that mistake. It's because just because you come into across them pretty steady, how do you get through a dry spell? It's opportunity is available. You better take it. Never sold a ring, but's got a ring sizer. Yeah, I don't understand with Google, with the Google and being able to figure out what anything is for the most part. And it brings up eBay listings too. That's the killer part, is if you look at something with Google Lens and it brings it up and you scroll up a couple, it's going to find an eBay listing on about 75% of the items, folks. It's going to show you what an item is selling for or what they're asking for it. It's truly amazing.
A lot of times I'll use Google Lens because I don't know what to call something, and it'll bring up that eBay listing, and then I'll know what to search for on eBay. Because it's not going to give you the solds, but at least give you an idea of better search terms to use.
Yeah, Kevin does have multiple streams of income, and but he is a great example of not passing up something. If Kevin sees it, Kevin buys it. And that is it. I mean, there's positive and negatives with watching anybody. I've met Kevin in person. He's like 4'3", but man, he is a super awesome dude, man. I enjoyed that evening of spending a little bit of time when I got to talk to him because he was in high demand. Yeah, I look forward to seeing him and on the dinner cruise and whatever it is in Cincinnati in first week of October. But if you see it and it's in your wheelhouse, you never know. Especially if your yard sale season is like Steve's from so short from May to what September, in May to Labor Day,
October, yeah.
Yeah, you've got basically Memorial Day to Labor Day or back at work, whichever one's which. You need to buy enough to carry you through the winter. Understand that, folks. If that's your main place where you get the best deals and make the most money, you need to plan, you need to budget, you need to understand that your buying budget comes there.
There are other ways to source around here. I mean, I could do the bin stores and all that stuff too, which I do. I haven't for the last month or so. And that's why my eBay's down. I haven't figured out how to split my time. And if you're a part-timer like I am now, and you have a full-time job, which I basically do, that splitting of the time, oh my God, that's hard to do. People who have full-time jobs and do this also full-time, have major respect because I mean, I struggled when I was doing Amazon and eBay. So one always won out over the other, but I didn't realize that I get home and I'm just, okay, I don't want to do anything. Part of that's my doing. I'm sure my energy levels are just not where they're supposed to be. And I'm sure that's eating habits and things like that. But
I think the biggest problem with sales being down, that's a lot of talk here lately, is
mine are my own fault.
People are, and Steve is the exact opposite. People are they want to know what's wrong with eBay. They want to know this, they want to know that. And they never look at the mirror and go, maybe I'm part of the problem. They assume that everything they do is perfect and it can't possibly be their fault. And it's got to be eBay's not featuring me in search. It's got to be this. It's got to be, and a lot of times it's under your control. Your prices are too high. You're buying the wrong items, or you're buying the right items, but you're just not. You're waiting on that particular customer to come around, and you don't have a great product mix of stuff that sells all the time. And it is absolutely amazing that when you, and I'm guilty of it too. I'm wondering, Amazon's off a little bit. My own stupidity has not checked a repricer to realize I've sent all this crap in, and I failed to start the repricer. That was just it happens to everybody, but it is.
You need a system for that.
A lot of times I find out that problems in my business, no matter what I'm doing, I find the answer in that mirror over there. I find out what the problem is just by looking in that mirror.
I'm up 33%. I'm up 33%. It's not because I added product. It's not because I grew my SKU count by 33%. I went out and found ways to sell the same thing, more of it. Whether it's other platforms, whatever it is. Listen, if you're going to be in this game, then you got to swallow the pills that come with it. And some of those are hard truths. Get off your ass and go to work. Find what works for you and do more of it. Are your prices too, if your sales are slow, cut your prices a little bit. Start moving inventory. Flip your money.
So here's another argument I've seen. And the first thing people will ask is, are you promoting your items on eBay? If you're looking for decrease eBay, and they'll all go, and I've seen so many people do this, and they'll go, I've got all my items promoted at 2%. the trending rate is like 6 or 7%. Folks, you are losing. Don't be afraid to meet the trending rate if you need to on items, because understand, if I'm going to promote it, I'm going to kick your ass, because I'm not going to sit down there at 2% and you're going to be behind me. I don't get this. I understand that people will tell you that, promoting at 2% is better than none. But I would tell you right now, if you're an eBay seller and you're promoting at 2%, you're doing the bare minimum. You're just barely getting your foot in the door. And if you're depending on someone else not promoting higher than you, and you're also depending on the fact that every eBay seller worth their salt knows that you better be close to trending, because it gets more and more competitive. New people come to this game all the time, and
smart new people.
Yeah, these people have done their research, and they're go-getters. A lot of times they're way younger than we are, and they got tons more energy.
And some of them got money behind them.
Correct.
Some of them got big money behind them. You don't understand what these things are different. You have to know what you're doing. This isn't, there's some. It used to be the Wild West, but now you got to be smarter.
Yeah, John. Sometimes that was the reason for this. I thought, on the show, what can we talk about today? I talked about the last few weeks. Positive things to do, that kind of stuff. But really getting back to basics and understanding your business, and understanding, the game changed when eBay said we're going to allow you to promote listings, and for a while 1% worked. So why did 1% work so well at the beginning of that thing?
Because so many people thought eBay was being greedy,
and they wouldn't use it. But now
I loved it.
Now everybody realizes that it is a competitive advantage. I would be willing to bet more than half of sellers use it. And so now all of a sudden, if you're following the same old, I'm going to put the minimum on. Remember, with minimum effort comes minimum results. I'm telling you, the Flipping Sports guy says, the new dynamic thing. I'm telling you right now, people are going to use that a lot, because what's the one thing I preach all the time? If something changes, whatever these changes are, you better understand the change and make a plan to use it to your benefit, because if not, you are behind. And why are you behind? Because as life changes, and as your situation changes, and as the marketplace changes, and the way to get to the customer changes on these platforms, if you are not in there, I'm telling you right now that you're falling farther and farther behind. And now we're going, if you're bitching about sales being slow in the springtime, wait for the summer.
Screw summer. Wait till Christmas. Wait till Christmas, because last year everybody started complaining that everybody's lowering the prices on stuff so early to get rid of it. Wait until this year, because you got to remember, not all of us are in it to make the most money that we possibly can. Some of us are just plowing through cash to make money to beat inflation. I will flip stuff for 4% if I got cash sitting in the bank.
So Brenda, I hope you're listening. She says, my sales are in half. I haven't changed anything different.
That might be part of the problem.
You haven't changed anything different. I would challenge you to look at your overall business, look at your overall store, and figure out there's a way to make things work. Don't be afraid to try things. What's the big thing that people are doing now with the promoted listings is they're promoting 1% to 2% above, but they also are raising their prices. Go search for anything, and it comes up at a sponsored price at some crazy price. There are a lot of people that click on the first one they find, and so it's hard to compete if you're not matching some trending
Well,
rate.
that's kind of the Amazon mentality. They're going to click on that buy box because that's the only thing they care to look for. But if they were to scroll down a little bit, they'd see other sellers and they could get the same thing for cheaper, probably. But on eBay, if you're showing up in that promoted, nobody scrolls past the first or second page for most things. I do, but that's me. But 90% of the population is going to buy something off that first page. And if you can be at the top of that first page, well, there you go. I still do a fixed rate of 3%, but I'm now a casual seller, so it doesn't matter to me as much.
Yeah, so the first one, but there are a lot of people like this one here, that hairspray, $13.99 for 3 sponsored. They are $12.95 for 2 is right below it. Which one are they going to buy? You can be second on the list and be getting hammered because that person, who knows where. Remember, I got this on clearance at 90% off at a retail store. So I paid, 89 cents for it. So the other person probably paid 89 cents or so. $3 to 14 free shipping. These things don't weigh enough. They're still going to get first class. They're still going to make a few dollars. It's Flipping Sports Guy, you're 100% correct. It's my challenge is to figure it out. That's one of the, as I'm figuring this stuff out, I really think about Dusty a lot. The guy had a ton of information, and what was the secret to why he was so successful for so long? Remember, he was reselling for all through the early 2000s. Started out with car parts and pulling stereos out of cars, and when that market died, he switched to other things. He was, he switched to, he was selling postcards at the end, but always working to try to figure out what worked on promoted listings. Do you start how long do you let promoted listings go before you start them over? John's VA restarts them every 12 hours. You get a bump in the promoted every 12 hours. He restarts them. It's amazing. And also too, whenever you also got to think the opposite way. When you're looking to buy something and you hit the completeds and you saw the latest one that was sold and was a certain amount, you better scroll a little bit to understand, was that the highest price and it was a unicorn because somebody bought the sponsored, and instead of being worth $20, that item normally sells for $12. Somebody just got, caught a big fish with theirs. And then you buy it thinking you're going to get 20, and it never sells for 20. It only sells for 12. Understand your research, do your research. So Flipping Sports Cars reboot promote every 3 days. I would suggest that's actually a pretty good number. 3 days is very doable for folks, or every other day, whatever it is. Figure out as John would say, a process and a system.
I think that's my biggest issue is I've never had a process and or system. That's one of my bigger issues. And even when I'm doing what I'm doing now, if I were to have a routine, a process for every day, at least a routine, I would still be able to do this, driving plus my listing at night. But because I don't have any sort of scheduling going on, I get lazy and I just sit here and watch YouTube videos all night. So, we talked about that earlier in the show. What are you doing? You're just sitting there watching YouTube videos all day. And that's what I really do a lot of the time.
Yeah. So you want, find a podcast, find someone like us so you don't have to look at our ugly mugs. You're not listening to 3 GQ models. I can go ahead and tell you that. So you cannot even look at it.
You're only one.
And which one is that? There you go, right there. Which one is? But you can listen. There's nothing wrong with listening to YouTube videos, and there's nothing wrong with watching them. Can you multitask? Can you still list while you're doing that?
I'm gonna do an experiment. And I'm gonna start trying at night to come home and at least list a couple of things. at night if I have them, which I do right now. I'm building up a few. So, yeah, I'm fine. That's right.
So Brenda, there is something wrong with eBay search, and I have noticed that that it's hard to, because I will search for an item. I'm trying to be very generic, so I will search for this, and it doesn't show up. But then I put this, and the manufacturer, and it shows up, and I'm like, that is so weird that search won't return anything found for 2 words in a search. But if you put 3 words, just add 1 more word, it brings them up. It is
I've noticed that a lot lately.
It does that. No, you're 100% correct.
Well,
Some of that.
Well, prior to the show, I was looking for that brass bird I was telling you about. I couldn't find it on eBay for nothing, no matter what I put in. I went to Google search and it brought up an eBay listing that's active. Why couldn't I? So there is something weird with eBay search.
This is a video you must watch.
Yeah, the other and so there I'm gonna make a video about this one probably. Some of the things we've learned about. So Amazon, if you think eBay search is bad, Amazon search is 10 times worse, because the amount of whoring out of search, and you'll have the sponsor, like the first 7 or 8 items are people that have done pay-per-click like John to get on the first page of search. But there's an error in Amazon search that people don't understand, and I didn't know about it until one of my friends has 2 of an item. One's regular and one's heavy duty. And the heavy duty one is more expensive, and it's the one that Amazon's been in and out on. And so when you search for that particular item and don't, the regular one does not come up. The heavy duty one will come up. Remember, on a parent-child listing, in search, only one comes up. So if you're looking for the one that's not the active one or the main one on the listing or whatever, Amazon won't tell you how that listing is done. You can search all day and that never comes up. I promise you. It is the strangest thing. But if you look for the heavy duty one and then go down there and click on the other one, it's right there. And Amazon knows about this. The person who's listing these things has talked to Amazon reps until he's blue in the face. But it is a thing about Amazon search that most people don't understand, that if you're on a parent-child listing and it's featured in search, there's only one item on that parent-child that's featured in search.
Now,
Amazon knows there's a problem, but it's not in their interest at this point to fix it because they make boatloads of money anyway.
Hey, Harlan, we ain't listing nothing tonight.
They'd have to totally restructure the way search is done, and that probably the cost. They've probably done the cost analysis on this thing, and it's not in their best interest at this point.
Tamara, you canceled the wrong leg.
Yeah, so Scott,
I was following you, Tamara, and I'm sorry about your parents and everything you went through that. She had a really rough time there for a while.
So here's what I was talking about. This is the person who I didn't want to call him out by name. He's a mystery man. But eBay, on Amazon, each parent-child wishing they have what's called a winner for the back end on each one. And John's probably experienced this too with as many multiple listings that he's got. And it don't matter. It don't matter what you search for. It ain't coming up. It's
actually you can get it to show in search, but it's a lot of work. You have to. All your sales will be promoted through PPC, and you gotta target. You gotta redesign the child to contain the search terms that you really want to target for that particular item, and then heavy PPC, and eventually you'll gain organic on that search term. It's a lot of work.
The way they pick winners is that the one had been out of stock for a while. So if the other one starts selling a lot, will that become the search winner then? Does it basically sells, which one sells the most on a parent child?
No.
Or because every listing is built different. It has to do with conversion,
and their profit.
Mm.
If it's converting through PPC better than organic on a different one, they will push the PPC conversion because they're gonna profit more. Listen, you have to understand Amazon's mentality. Amazon is a business that needs to make money, just like you are, and you're going to do whatever you can to make money. Amazon does the same thing. You just need to have to figure out how to work. Is it better not to have a child and have more listings? Man, that really depends on what it is.
If I was building my own listings, I would not. I would. I would not build parent child. Right. I would build individuals.
It depends on the item. I have a lot of variations, and my customers know that if they see one in search, that they click on it and they get all the options. I also have a heavy repeat buyer on Amazon. Just so you know, on eBay, more than 80% of my sales are repeat buyers. So, you have to know your customer, you have to know your product, you have to know your market. These are all things that you can't do by going wider. These are things you learn from going deeper into your niche. And it's important.
Yeah, each platform is so different. I haven't really seen the value added of making parent child listings. I mean, once a person, if they click on it and they can look at the different colors and sizes, but just think about your own personal experience, folks. When you're buying an item on Amazon or eBay, it's I don't see it as much on eBay, but especially Amazon. I rarely click on any of the other colors or any of the options because the search found, for the most part, found the one closest to what I was looking for. And that's generally the one I go with. So how many times do people scroll and look through those? I will scroll through the search results before I look through the different colors. Only exception is a cell phone case because I would look to see the different colors on the cell phone case. But other than that, I think that's the only thing I can think of that I would. So Ace Chaser says that he's had to take a loss on 3 or 4 months on some items in order to get the ranking up to drive the profit. John's done that, so he's generally doing that to chase people off the listing. We'll get John to start talking about pop rocks again.
Do what?
I said, so Ace Chaser is saying that he's had to take a loss on 3 to 4 months on some items in order to get the ranking up, turn a profit through search to get the winner on a variation listing. But I'm like, yeah, John used to take a loss on items, but he was chasing people off pop rocks.
Oh yeah, listen, you got to do what you got to do for business. If you believe you got the best product, then get it out there. If you are selling a fad, Hatchimals, one year I remember Hatchimals because I had a friend that cornered the market on Hatchimals the first year. At one point, he had more stock than Walmart, Amazon, and somebody else combined. And he was holding it, and he held it at extremely high prices so that it wouldn't sell. And then one day, he clicked the button, lowered his price, and frickin' made a killing. If you're chasing something like that, I can't help you. But if you're selling Christmas tree hooks that people are going to buy year in and year out, then you got to do what you got to do to make your business operate. If you got to take a loss for a couple of months to turn a profit for the next couple of years, sign me up. I'm in.
So here's Scott Season makes a good point. If it's only a size and color variation, then you're okay. I've bought shorts on Amazon and looked at the different colors and bought my favorite shorts. I bought 2 or 3. But other than that, but when it's the products are different, it's a different version, a different something else. You're much better off with separate listings. Because if a person is going to search for item A, but you've also got something similar as item B down here, they're not going to click on item B for the most part. And Amazon's not going to throw item B. If item A was a search winner, item B ain't showing up a search.
Now, you also have to think there's a difference between people on Amazon. You have a shopper and you have a buyer. How do you know the difference? By the keywords they use. Men's shorts, 42. Somebody's looking for a size 42 in men's shorts. Khaki men's short, 42. You're getting closer to a buyer. Khaki cargo men's shorts, 42. Now you have a buyer. If you realize the difference between those searches, then you have a better idea of what you need to target.
No, that's and you've learned you've taught PPC and you've learned it and you've experimented with it for years. Ever since I've been having these shows, you've talked about PPC and learning, and in especially negative keywords. And this is the first time I've heard you mention that kind of strategy, but that makes a ton of sense. If you want to focus on search topics, a buyer versus a shopper, that's folks, that right there is advanced learning. If you're an Amazon seller and can put that to good use, I can tell you can make a lot of money and lessen your PPC budget by eliminating search terms that differentiate a shopper and a buyer. I never thought of it, John. That's an eye-opening thought right there. Has anybody hijacked any of your ASINs, John? Somebody's asking. Ace Chasers asking.
Yeah, but I've had hijackers, but not to the point that like he's talking about.
But you're also brand registered on all your stuff too, so that you've got some protection.
Now this doesn't do like it used to. It used to be lifetime. I started way back. This only goes back 2 to 3 years. It looks like I've spent $683,000 on PPC. That's a lot of money in advertising. I better know what the hell I'm doing.
Correct.
If you're throwing $10 at PPC, you're going to struggle. You have to spend a lot of time and a lot of money to learn how to market on Amazon. And I'm a small player in PPC. I got friends that spend $200,000 a month. So you have to work on your business model. You can't come in here and expect Scott to give you what's your ACOS for that, John? I'm going to make you sick. My lifetime ACOS is 12%. I'm currently running at 9%. Nobody understands how I can get to those numbers with the sales volume that I'm able to produce. My ACOS is probably one of the best on the market. And the worst part about it is any freaking dummy off the street can run my PPC program, but nobody listens.
They They have the thought he's either got a mistake in his numbers or he's lying. They can't believe it's true.
And
so
Scott has seen me just to open it up and go and turn the computer. I don't even try and filter anything. I just spin my computer around. My tacos is right now I'm running at 3.1%. And tacos, for anybody that doesn't know, is the total advertising cost of a sale. It means how much money I spend of all my sales in advertising. It's 3%. Most Amazon sellers run at 15 to 20% tacos. They have huge marketing budgets. I work on shoestrings. And you ask me what the difference is I don't go for men's shorts. I am very specific about what I'm selling and what I advertise. I'm looking for buyers of my product. If I'm selling this t-shirt, I'm going to describe it the best I can, and I'm going to target my search to somebody that wants to buy this shirt. Everything I do is very specific.
I love tacos too, Leg.
You know, this is, and a lot of this stuff that I talk about, I know when I come on here, 1 out of 100 people actually listen when I talk. And it's because the level at which I talk at, I understand that I'm talking over almost everybody's head.
Well, just
definitely talking over mine.
well, just think about, folks, that if somebody's a total advertising cost even is at 15%, you got to understand that even with all their overhead to run these huge businesses on Amazon, it's not nearly the cost of what it would cost them to run a retail store. They are using the money that they don't have to put up on physical. Running a retail store is very, very difficult. You don't believe me? Ask Walmart as they're closing the Chicago stores and they've just pulled out of the Portland market. They run such tight margins that they cannot stay profitable. They're losing millions of dollars per location due to theft. And to understand, the physical plant, what it costs to run that building, employees, all that stuff, you have some different, you have warehouses and you have employees, but the physical location part and the risk to loss and all that stuff is instead of spending money there, they put it in advertising on Amazon to sell more product. No, John, he doesn't have a course on PPC.
No. I use Samurai Seller. It's cheap. It's $20 a month. And I've spent hours watching his videos, and I use a lot of his recommendation. I work very hard in that program to improve my PPC.
Hey, Scott, I have go ahead, John.
You got to understand that this, you have to, as we get further and further into this, you're going to have to be a specialist. You are going to have to be able to know what you are doing. As I've done this now. This is my 16th year in business. I've been incorporated for 10 years. People think I'm nuts. Dusty and I never seen eye to, Dusty and I never seen eye to eye on a lot of topics. But he was very smart, and I learned a lot. I shut up and I listened.
But it was on a business level, business style, personal level. Y'all
we were good friends.
Much more similar, but whenever you got such varying business models, and it's
he was the old school flea market guy, and I am when I started this, it was always to be a multi-million-dollar hands-free corporation that ran 100% without me.
Yeah, you got to think about that, folks. Whenever you're dealing with different sellers, everybody has different goals. Everybody has different objectives, and what one person considers successful and their goal can be completely different from someone else. And so you need to understand.
John and Dusty couldn't have been further from each other in their business models, but a lot of the concepts are the same. But you also got to figure out, are you a John or are you a Dusty? Where do you want to go with this? I'm closer to a Dusty.
Man, Steve, that's a great insight, and don't miss that point, folks. John just told you, and he was almost above my head. I was treading water.
I kind of knew what he was talking about.
With PPC, but Dusty was that same way in his, where he figured out to restart PPC. He figured out to do +1. He figured out. I mean, just think about if you remember some of his old videos and understand how good he was at the manipulating search and taking advantage of what you could do. John is doing the same thing with PPC. He is figured out how to make PPC work in his business at a less expensive way, and he has dialed it in. So you've got two guys that were completely operating as a spectrum with business models, but yet they both focus in on the same thing. How to get items in search, how to sell more items, how to take advantage of what the platforms offer, whether it's PPC on one side or promoted on the other.
Let me say it in a sentence. We both figure out how to maximize our profits within our company. And that's what Dusty did.
Yeah. So it's
as crazy as he was with some of his stuff and his orange headband and all the crazy things I've seen from that man over the years. The one thing he had that we had in common was he had systems and processes. No matter what he did, he always had systems and processes in place to maximize his output in the short periods of time he worked. Because he didn't work 8 hours a day.
Now, I would challenge you folks if you're just an eBay seller and you're sitting there listening, thinking, man, they've gone off the Amazon deep end. How can this doesn't affect me? It does. You need to figure out this. It's just two different platforms going at it different ways. You understand and figure out what works. How do you? The name of the game is being found in search. So, and John would tell you, eBay and Amazon, he does them both different. He restarts them on PPC on eBay, but he also never changes his listings, never restarts his listings because he's looking for Google search to pick him up. Where Dusty sold postcards and I sell a lot of one-offs, I don't look for Google search, but I want to be in the regular search. So for promoted listings on eBay is very important to me. I usually do +1 because I want to be up in search there, but paying for, one-offs on Amazon, selling discontinued and used items, PPC is not the way on Amazon. It's more a function of price and product for me on Amazon, where John's product doesn't change as much. And so he needs to understand, and he's figured out how to use PPC to move more of his product that he has the same one over and over and over.
Now, how many people are in here in the AI? Has anybody really dug into AI?
A little bit.
I have a system of how to build an Amazon listing with AI. And the listing will blow your mind at the end.
So my thought is, what time is it? We're about to shut this one down, but I would challenge you, if you are struggling with sales and you're telling me that your sales are tough, understand everything we just talked about for the last 2 hours. And understand you've got to eliminate yourself. You've got to make sure you're doing the right thing. You've got to make sure you get back to basics. Make sure you're doing the things you need to do to get the right products and understand what to buy. But then when you go to sell it, you are dealing with people like John, who, you might not sell in his market, but he's not the only one who thinks this way. And so you are up against competition that is doing everything possible to beat you in search, to get their items seen and sold. And your answer to that is, I'm going to promote it 2%. I don't understand. What are you doing to better your game is my question for you.
I know I come in here and there's a few people in here that have messaged me and said, man, thank you so much for at that level. But understand something. I am probably a minnow in a shark tank when it comes to people that know how to run Amazon as a business. I'm lazy.
Okay, so
I am just as lazy as a lot of you guys are. I've done enough to get my business to where it is. But there's people much smarter than me, and I'm going, if I don't up my game a little bit here, they're going to run right over the top of me.
Ace, I could have gone that way. After having so many employees and dealing with employees for all the years, I kept myself purposely small, and to take advantage of me, I don't want employees. I ran fast food restaurants for 25 years. I don't want to be a babysitter. I don't want to, and especially now, can you imagine me having to tiptoe around? I made the wrong hiring mistake and I hired some flake, and I'm talking about Bud Light over here. How long would it take me to get in trouble?
Hire family and friends so you can kick them in the ass.
Hey, it's a different outlook. Ace,
Let me jump in on this Ace question. I'm gonna give it to you from the other side. I wish I wouldn't have done this. If you think I have freedom because I have money, you're dead wrong. Steve's got more freedom than I got. He wants to go drive a car today and do what do you do? Instacart or something? DoorDash. There's no way in hell I could go do DoorDash today. I've said it probably 5 times on this show. I'd rather go do RA. My wife misses RA.
You know what? You're right, John, because tomorrow, or let's say the yard sale season comes around in a couple of weeks, I can pivot. I can start my eBay back up just like that. I don't have to drive DoorDash necessarily. Right now it's where the money is, but in a couple of weeks or a month, the money's somewhere else, right? I can pivot.
I sat in a meeting for 90 minutes yesterday about this 20,000 square foot warehouse that we're building and how we got to figure out how we're going to pay for it. I mean, the mortgage payment's only $10,000 a month.
Chump change.
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, me too.
I get up in the morning, I got to go, okay, how am I going to make 10,000? And it's not my mortgage. It's my supplier's mortgage. So how am I going to make enough to help my supplier make that payment? Because I committed to helping him build this warehouse.
Pivot. So I'm just remembering that Seinfeld episode with the couch and the pivot. But you can't.
I can't. And remember the pandemic? Scott, you remember what I went through with the pandemic? You all were out there pivoting, changing what you sold and all that, and I was stuck.
Face mask and sanitizer, sold a bunch.
Well, I sold, I found a couple of things to keep Lori and I fed. I found Dollar Tree thermometers and shelf-stable milk. Until I got to the point. Amazon, if you remember, Amazon took my payment on the loan because it was 3 days after my due date that they said they were going to stop payments for 30 days. I was in a crunch and I don't have choices, guys. Freedom is being able to make choices. I have no choices.
All right. Well, I hope everyone learned. I got to hit a bathroom, and we're 10 minutes after 10.
I'm getting close to a bathroom too.
Yeah, this show was very informative. Hopefully, it'll some shows are better than others. This one is one of the better ones, I think, to really get you thinking. Understand. Look, I challenge you between now and next Wednesday. Look at your business. Look at what truly moves things on eBay and Amazon, and what can you do. What's in your control? Don't wait for, oh my God, something's wrong with eBay. Don't wait for all that stuff. What are you doing in your business to move product? It's a lot of things are in your control. But a lot of times I'll just remind you, get out of your own way. Eliminate yourself. Eliminate yourself first. That's why I tell you over and over, a positive attitude really helps you see things properly. Protect your attitude. Understand. There's a lot to it. That's why I've been doing the Sunday show, because I've been fighting hard with different, listening to different things and podcasts to build up my mental toughness to keep me positive, to deal with the craziness, because the landscape just gets tougher every day. As more and more people figure they can sell online, how many times has Gary Vee got to tell people to go to yard sales and flip it on eBay? People listen, and so there's new people every day.
Amen. There is.
So stay ahead. Figure out what you've got to do. It's a lot of it's under your control. Roll Tide.
Yeah. Hello and
Sweetwater out.
Hello and good night. Where is my buddy?
Blurry Sweetwater out.